Thank you to the people that are in this room. It's not a ton of them, but it's early on day 3 of a trade show. I'm Tony Demakis from Alliance Specialties and Laser Sales, where we are mold makers that don't build molds. It sounds ridiculous, but that's who we are. We do the things that mold makers don't want to do: polishing, laser welding, laser engraving, hot runner repair, preventative mold maintenance, and we also make and sell the only laser welding and laser engraving systems for tool repair and maintenance built completely in the United States. And that's what we're here talking about today. So we've been in business for over 40 years. My father started the company, and we're just happy to make an impact and a difference in the community around us. And I'm joined by my friend Larry Patten from Dramco Tool. Larry, tell us who you are.
I know these two. You guys back there, where are you from? Winfield. Oh, awesome. I'm from Nebraska. Okay, so the rest of these people kind of know each other, but Dramco, are you guys familiar with Dramco? I've been down to Winfield a little bit. Don't have any customers down there, but Dramco's about a 50-man shop right smack in the middle of Nebraska. On the molding side of things, we do a fair amount of automotive tools. Rotary two-shot. We also do a fair amount of aerospace. Vector tool. You guys probably know Vector tool down there.
There's a smile there, which means they know them or they don't like them.
Vector's stolen some of our business, but we do similar stuff to what they do. So we back in 08, 09, Dramco. I'll go back a little bit. Dramco is consisted of 4 different partners. Probably the most diverse shop that you'll come across. We do molds, we do dies, we do special machines, we do fab, we do custom machining, all under one roof. Each of the partners kind of handles a little different spot, and I'm in charge of the molding. So back in 08, 09, we all went through this terrible experience that I never want to do again.
Yeah, not a good thing.
No, it was a terrible thing. So we lost our main automotive injection molder, and that was our bread and butter. These people were probably 30% of our business. They went to Mexico. And we ended up going through a very tough time. During that time, since we lost so much of our injection tooling, I pretty well moved into the aerospace and forgot about injection molding. And that was good.
Why was that good? Why was that a good thing?
It was good because there was no Chinese competition. Aerospace is mostly American made, so we did very well there. But then I got this call from an engineer who we used to work with in the automotive area. He says, "Hey, I'm down in Kansas City now. I have a need for a tool shop that can build injection molds." I says, "Yeah, we still remember how to do it." So,
we're not sure we really want to, but remember how to do it. I mean, it's not a glorified position. It's not.
And so anyway, we made the visit, and that revived our injection molding. And when you come to injection molding, it's different from aerospace in the repair side of things, probably more than anything. And so what we found out as we worked through as we got back into this, building larger rotary injection molds, that we were getting more repair almost than new builds because they break. Rotary injection molds break.
So in your business, you were seeing more repair work coming in than actual new builds being purchased.
Exactly. And it turned into quite a profit center for us. We had to build the new tools, but then they were always breaking the other tools, and so we ended up with a fair amount of repair work. The trouble with repair is that it quite often needs welding.
Yeah. And if you have to outsource the welding, like most people don't, and we talked about this, right? Most people don't send out enough welding to justify the cost of buying a machine in the welding alone.
Exactly. I would say probably 3 years ago, 4 years ago, one of my tool makers says, we really need a laser welder. I'm like, dude, we can't afford it. We only send out about, I don't know, $15,000 worth of welding a year, if that.
And I'll be honest, at $15,000 a year in welding, that's a 10-year ROI based on just the cost of welding.
Yeah, if not more. Yep. So I just dismissed it. Kind of. It was a dream, but we didn't really need it. That's because we had this guy in Kansas City. We could send it down there. It was the closest laser welder to us was Kansas City.
How far was that from your shop?
It's a day shipping down there. It's 5 hours, but shipping a day down there, shipping a day back. 3-day turnaround for a 15-minute weld job. Summit Weld is who we use. You guys may know them. Excellent welders. And we'd worked with him for years, and he did a really good job. And so there was two things that I didn't. Number one, he was available. It only took 3 days, and he was very good. And I was worried about the skill level that it would take if we bought a laser welder. How was I going to train up a guy? We didn't have enough to really make it work.
And so when you say it was only 3 days, does that mean it was 1 day shipping, 3 days welding, 1 day shipping?
No, it was...
Or 3 days total?
Because it's usually about an hour worth of weld, if that.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes more.
So it's 3 days to do an hour's worth of weld.
Exactly.
Okay, gotcha.
So we started getting a bunch of pressure from our customers saying, you guys got to turn these tools around faster. They come up for a repair. So we bought a truck. We said, okay, we're going to run a truck.
The truck is awesome.
Yeah, the truck's awesome. So now we cut about 2 days of the turnaround of a week and a half turnaround on a typical repair. We cut 2 days off by buying a truck. And that was good, but I knew we could do better. And we targeted then the laser welding capability. But I still could not justify, how do you pay, what do we pay for that? Well, I don't want to, I mean, it's a lot of money.
No, it's fine. It's the one that you bought was a 600 watt laser, right? And it was $159,000.
Yeah, a lot of money. And there's cheaper ones out there, by the way.
There are cheaper ones out there that you get what you pay for.
Exactly.
Y'all know that, right?
And I'll go into why we made that decision, but so $150,000, $160,000 is a huge expense when you got a guy who can do it. But we're getting that pressure, and so I'm starting to think we really need to pull this in-house. But how can I justify it?
Now, the pressure was because customers were expecting faster turnaround. That's where the pressure was coming from.
Exactly. Yep. We had to turn it around. And so can I justify a $150,000 welder when I'm only using it maybe 15 minutes out of a day? Does that make any sense when you got another guy that can do it? So I started thinking, okay, I'm going to concentrate on this 3-day thing. If I can cut that, if I got a 15-minute or an hour weld job, and instead of taking 3 days, I can do it in 15 minutes or an hour, I can send my truck back to the customer with a completed job sooner. He's going to load another, because the repair work was endless, he's going to load another mold on the truck and bring it back. So in the time when I typically have a repair job about halfway done waiting for the welder to come back, now all of a sudden I got that mold back to the customer on our truck because we had the welder in-house, and we got another one on the floor. So I looked at the sales amount for our repair, and it was in the neighborhood of about averaged about $15,000 per repair. We would do about 6 per month. So you're talking about sales of. I had it down here. So do that math.
Yeah, I'm not a mathematician.
Really?
I'm not going to do that. That's Colby's job back there. But
There it is.
you know, so most people look at a laser welder as a necessary evil, right? They don't want it because it's not a money-making machine. It's something that is used just to repair to usually internal stuff, right?
Yeah,
and people don't want
exactly.
to encourage their team to make mistakes. But you took it a different direction and you said, wait a minute, with this machine, I can increase my sales numbers because I can turn repair costs faster.
Exactly. Long story short, I estimated that we could increase our sales for the year by $180,000, and assuming, because repair is always very profitable, right?
Yep. It should be. It should,
It is.
because you need it now.
You can charge them about anything you want because they got to get it done. So I looked at that and I said, I'm going to increase my profit by $50,000 a year, potentially, if I buy that $150,000 machine. That's a no-brainer. That's like, holy crap. Let's do it. Once I floated that number to my partners, we were on board. So then it was like, well, we got to get a welder. Where do we go to get a welder?
Yeah, and there's plenty of places that you can buy welders from, and there's a lot of good options. One of the things that I heard yesterday in the Lead Time Leader speech was the importance of buying American, right? We want to support American mold builders, and we want to buy American products. And I think that has to go all the way across the board. So when you're looking at that, as a mold builder, as a manufacturer, if you want people to buy stuff from us, from you, you also have to support the American equipment sales side of things.
Exactly. So is that worth the extra? I've always believed that it was. Some people would argue that, but it is. It does. Now so we started looking at which company are we going to entrust our relationship with, because we always deal with relationships. Who are we going to deal with? I happen to know Tony. He'd been bugging my ear for a few years on this. So we kind of honed in on what Alliance would offer. And in the end, when you looked at everything, it just made sense. Stick with American company, American built, support that is phenomenal, and we made the choice.
Yeah, and so that on the screen is a picture of the machine that Larry bought. It's an ID1 600-watt laser. It's a fiber laser. The difference between a fiber and a YAG, if you don't know, is a fiber laser doesn't have any consumable materials. There's no lamps. There's very little that can go wrong with that. It really reduces your maintenance costs, but it is an investment. It's an upfront investment. Yeah. It's very flexible, so you can weld on inserts. You can weld on larger tooling. And it's at your convenience. You can move it around the shop if you need to, and the learning curve is very easy.
Oh man, it was like I was worried about skill level. It doesn't take, well, it takes skill, but the good part is it's all hand-eye coordination, which a bunch of the new kids coming up have. So I took Tony's advice. We trained people on this that never welded before in their life to speak of. They weren't good TIG welders, but they picked it up in no time.
It's basically like playing a game, a video game. So you're looking through the microscope and you're moving the joystick, and if you have that hand-eye dexterity, if you have 20-year-old, 25-year-old kid who's played video games forever, they can pick this up in no time and start welding. You don't need the welding training. And so you can take somebody that is not a welder, that has other responsibilities in the shop, and you can train multiple people to use the piece of equipment, so when they have downtime, they're your guy.
I think even Mary Kate could weld.
She's welding now.
Is she?
Yeah. Mary Kate and Michelle were back there welding and practicing. They just started this week at the show, so it's very easy to do.
So that was a history. We did end up buying a laser welder. I just checked yesterday. In the last 6 months, we have 96 hours on it. So we are doing a little more with it than even what I thought.
And that's 96 hours of welding time, not just
Welding
machine
time.
on time. So it's 96 hours of welding time. And you guys know most welds are like you're adding a dot here, you're adding a little bit here. It's not hours and hours and hours of
Exactly.
welding. But like everybody knows, even if the welder's putting on a 15-minute dot of weld, it's an hour.
Exactly.
Right? So you're getting charged that hour when you're only paying your guy 15 minutes.
And what we found is that our repair jobs got done much faster, not only because we had the laser welder in-house, but we could combine both TIG and laser, so our machining and our spotting was minimal. So now we're getting through the projects even faster than what I had expected. And we're really seeing the bottom line come up. Matter of fact, I'll probably have to give you maybe some bourbon or something, because yeah, we're just really thankful that we.
I was going to say that explains why you buy dinner when we go out, because I'm
Exactly,
just making
that's
you more
probably
money. So on top of the laser welder, you guys also bought our newest laser engraver.
Yes, we did.
So this machine that's on the screen, it's called the Leviathan. It is a monster from the deep, and there's nothing that this engraver can't weld, right? And so it's got a long 10-foot arm that sticks out, so you don't even have to take the tool out of the press. You can wheel it in there. It's mobile. It's a 70-watt laser, and so you can do anything with it. You can do the small stuff. You can do the big stuff. It's very, very, very easy to use. What was the thought process behind a laser engraver?
Well, we talked to Tony, and he says, well, we offer this laser. We can put it on a old Bridgeport. We can put it on this little stand. And we're like, no, that just doesn't work. And he says, well, let me tell you this. I have another customer that put one on a camera boom.
Scott Phipps at United Tool and Mold. You guys probably know who Scott Phipps is. He's been around for a little while.
So I said, that makes sense to me, because now I can set that camera boom up right next to the Bridgeport and use the Bridgeport for positioning if I need to, but then I can also take it over to the mold that's sitting on the floor and put some cavity ID in there, or whatever we're engraving ejector pins. I can set up something right on a bench. And so Tony says, okay. He priced that out to me, camera boom thing. And a couple weeks later, I said, Tony, how's my machine coming? He says, well, I got something else up my sleeve, and you're really going to like it. And so Tony came up with the idea of mating the camera boom into this cabinet on wheels. And now this machine, when I saw it, I'm like, exactly, this is what we need. And what's amazing to me now is I walk through the shop every day. I see this thing in a different spot every day. It's moving from here to there. Guys are using it. They're using their creativity, and they're coming up with reasons and ways to get things engraved. It takes the time. We used to take almost 4 hours to engrave a cavity IDs in a mold in the mill. 4 hours of spindle time.
Yeah. And so now you're able to, again, maximize your machine time.
Exactly.
Increase your profitability, get out more jobs, and have somebody else run this.
Yep. And then on top of that, I saw a kid the other day. He was over on a bench, had this big arm coming up, and he was just shoving something in. He'd hit a button on the computer, and then he'd take that off, and it was about 10 seconds a time. I said, what are you doing? He says, I got this little this engraving job that we picked up from a brand new customer because we had the capability. I said, what do you got to do? Well, he says, we got to do about, I think it was like 3,000 or 4,000 of these tags. And so I said, that's interesting. I went and talked to my partner who had come up with this. Turns out that little job, which took about 3 days for that guy to do, we were able to turn 10 grand on that.
So it's
Holy
another
crap.
profit center.
Yeah,
right. It's not
like yeah.
And so a lot of times
sky's
people
the
look
limit.
at it and they say, we don't need it. We can use our cutter to put in the cavity IDs. We can put the logo in. It's not a big deal.
Yep, exactly.
But you're turning it into a profit center.
And I think Scott Phipps did the same thing. He has a whole part of his business that is run that way. So yeah, I just gotta. It's what was interesting to me was how we tend to hold back when we're trying to justify a new purchase, and so often when you make that purchase, when you finally cut loose the PO, you find that it helps you out in ways that you never would have expected.
And it allows you to use your creativity, right? To find new ways to do it. Because you, in your fab side, you also started using the engraver for plastic buttons.
Oh yeah, yep. We like I say, that thing's moving all over.
Yeah.
So, and it gives me more time to come up with or to get behind Tony and his crazy little ideas like this T-shirt over here.
Yeah, so we got about 9 minutes left, but what Larry and I really want to talk about what we're doing with the T-shirts as well. So these T-shirts are to honor the 13 fallen soldiers that were in Afghanistan. That's the back of it. It has all the names of the military people that lost their life. And we're selling them. Paul Britton from International Mold Steel, Larry from Dramco and Alliance. We decided that we want to do something. We have a platform. We want to give back in some way. So these shirts are $20. It's cash. All that money is going to go towards the families of the fallen. And we're also extending it now. So if your business wants to be part of that, you can order a custom you can order a specific number of shirts, and we'll have them made. We'll ship them out, and they're going to be $20 a shirt. We can add your company logo to them so that you can get your team involved as well. But
What's the time frame?
We're going to see what the orders come in at.
All right.
So it's not something that should go away. We should keep thinking about it. So even when they come in, they're going to come in. Some people have said, what about everybody else that lost their life? Do they not matter? Everybody matters, and this represents everybody.
Exactly. Yep.
So you guys have some questions, I'm sure. We would love to answer some questions. Anything is acceptable to ask. We are open and honest, and we'll talk about anything. So we've got 6 minutes. I think we did okay.
You there in the
Colby.
back, way in the back.
So if Larry Page, if you're looking to finance guy who's a welder too?
So when we're done here, you come over, and we'll have you welding before you leave.
Very awesome to have those t-shirts.
I love you.
Okay, so micro welding, we also that's what we would use instead of our before we had a laser welder. We use the little I think PCS sells it. It's a little micro TIG welder where you push it and it does a little zip. Have you seen those? So and we use that a lot. Okay, so that's similar to what you can do with a laser welder. It's a little. It isn't as adjustable for fine work. The other thing is if you go over and look at the laser welder and you watch that, you hear this dut, 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 dut. Well, now all of a sudden you got the little micro welder, you're going to do a dut, dut, dut. So time wise, it's the laser weld is way faster, way more accurate, much finer. Now we still do use our little perk welder, our little perco welder, or whatever they call it, in certain places. Like I say, you can pull together both the TIG welding, the micro welding, and the laser all together to get a final product that's much better. Maybe lay the laser, the TIG down for a base. Maybe use the laser to come in and finish it off. Maybe use the micro welder for just a quick little job while you're in the machine. So all of them work together.
Does that answer your question? And again, anybody's welcome to come over and use it. We've got guys over there that can help you and train you and let you sit down and actually weld so you can see what it's like. I mean, Paul's up here. Paul has used our laser engraver. He bought it as a way to engrave his plates when he sends them out. He invested in the technology early, and it's been able to help him. I mean, we're happy to help come up with out-of-the-box solutions, not just what we have. So if you have a problem that you don't have a solution for, we can come up with something that works for you and your company and your business. That's what happened with this one.
Yeah, the Leviathan is
so. I want to thank Gardner and Mold Making Technology for letting us be part of this event, for sharing our story. I want to thank you guys for coming out and listening to it and giving us your support. Every Wednesday we have a show called the Manufacturing Alliance Podcast where we tell stories of manufacturers in the United States, and we would love to tell your stories as well and get you out there. So thank you for everything that you do for our industry, for our country, for our community. Keep kicking ass and let us know how we can help.
And remember that Dramco is not a part of Alliance. So if you have questions about laser welding, I'm going to answer it. I'm not going to try to sell you a thing. Okay? So any questions, feel free to contact me at Dramco. We'll just tell you what we know. Sometimes we know more than others, and sometimes I'll tell you I don't know if I don't.
And so we're going to be back over by our booth. We'll have the shirts over there. Larry will stick around for a little while and answer any questions. Anybody is welcome to come over, sit at the welder, and actually try it out. Again, thank you guys for listening. We really appreciate it. Take care and God bless.